So welcome back, everyone. We're still live on Facebook, so hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We'll share the show later on. My next guest is a newbie, and I love having my newbies on because they're so much fun. I have with me Josh Kuhn, and he's the owner of Albatross Insurance. Welcome. We're having a little bit of an insurance day today. Welcome to the show. I want you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what makes you different than our gentleman that we had on earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm happy to be here. I'm a transplant, so I'm not an Arizona native, even though I married one. But I came down here. I'm originally from Idaho. I came down here for college. I went to Arizona Christian University, which is now located in Glendale. But when we were there, it was in Phoenix. So I sell personal lines insurance, commercial lines insurance, different than Howard, who was guest before. And kind of what sets us apart over at Albatross is that's all we do. So we specialize in the commercial lines range. We don't do any of the life insurance annuities, any of that, because we really want to be specialists and we really want to be experts at what we do, because it's incredibly hard in insurance to do all the lines and do them well. So we really wanted to dive into that part.
Now, when you work with people, you work statewide and regionally.
Yes.
Okay, and also I want people to understand that this is a free service to you, your clients. It is free, and so you can get a free consultation. And let's kind of dive into it and learn a little bit more about it. Because you know what, I've never had anybody that does your kind of insurance on my show, so I'm really excited about this. So for business owners who may not fully understand, can you break down what commercial insurance really covers and why it's so important?
Yep, absolutely. So insurance, especially commercial lines, is more of kind of like your foundation parts of like your business. So every policy on the baseline is basically there to protect your business from outside liabilities, as far as like trips and falls, employees getting injured, customers getting injured on your property. Also, the work that you actually do. So like if you're a contractor, your insurance policies are there to protect kind of your trips and falls, like I said, but also your workplace. So if you install something incorrectly that causes damage to a homeowner's house or their place of business, your policy is really there to protect you from those circumstances. But what makes commercial lines a lot more unique and a lot more complex than like a personal lines policy, as far as like your homeowners, is you have to build on top of those policies to get you adequately covered. So just having a normal general liability policy that's going to cover your normal trips and falls, you need to add on specific endorsements that's going to properly cover you, as far as like if you're going to someone's house, you want to have that exposure. If you're a contractor, you need to be able to cover the customer's property as well as your own, things like that. So it does get very complex, which is why you want to work with an agent who really understands the ins and outs of the policies that they're selling.
So commercial, is it your client, is it generally, who's that client? I gotta ask.
Yeah, so at my agency, so we're considered a generalist, and so all that really means is that I will work with all types of businesses. There's not one niche that I work at or work with, but here in Arizona, we're the land of small business, and we're very contractor heavy compared to other states. So I have a lot of contractors that I work with. I work with a lot of big retailers and some big manufacturers as well. I'm less on like the medical side and I'm less on the habitational side, but I can work with them.
So I said that, I asked that for a reason, and the reason why I asked is because a lot of people are starting businesses.
Yep.
You work with all size businesses?
Yep, so mostly the small to medium. So really what that means is like less than 100 employees. I'm generally in that ballpark. When you get above and beyond that, depending on what you do, that's where you might need a different kind of carrier, a different kind of agent, but pretty much anybody below 100 employees.
And it's so important because, and it's one of the last things that people think about, right? And I'm just gonna go through this with you, and I hope you're okay with this, is that something happens and then they call,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And I think it's very important that people understand that when is the best time for people to call you to get it? They're forming a business?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on the exact situations, but yeah, I mean, if you're in the process of thinking about your business or in the very early stages of buying a business, you definitely want to start getting quotes. I couldn't tell you how many times, especially during COVID, people wanted to start a trucking business, had no idea that one truck was about $50,000 per truck, and they're like, I can't afford that. So it's better to get that done on the front end rather than go through all the process of getting your loans just to know you can't afford it. But yeah, I mean, earlier the better. Even just to get a price indication, just you can call an agent and be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Do you have an idea? Easy to do something like that. Or if you want formal quotes where you got formal numbers, we can always go down that.
It's so important. And let me just say this, I hate to say it though. Today in the world that we live in, it's even more so than ever important, because
Yeah.
people do find ways to,
Oh, yeah.
when something happens, that's what they look for, is dollars,
Yeah.
right? I'm sorry to say
Oh
that.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Now, he works statewide and regionally. This is a free service to you, the families there, business owners. The phone number to call is 480-805-8656. The website is ALBATROSSinsurance.com. So what are some of the biggest risks that you've seen right now for small and mid-sized businesses when it comes to insurance coverages?
Yeah, so definitely post-COVID, so I know COVID's kind of thrown everything, and we're still, on the insurance side, we're still reeling from that. I mean, a lot of people who've seen their insurance policies the last few years, with every renewal, everything's going up and up and up, and it's still on its way up.
Oh my God, don't say that.
Yeah, I will tell you, it is starting to level, but we're still seeing the tail end of it. But through that process and through everybody definitely trying to make everything more cost effective, a lot of people have either dropped coverages, dropped certain insurance policies altogether, but it's putting them at risk. So there was a story that some people may know during the hurricane season last year. The city of Tampa Bay in Florida lowered a bunch of their insurance costs on a bunch of the sports stadiums. The Tampa Bay Devil Rays Stadium, for instance, they lowered their coverage by like 80%, and now they can't rebuild that stadium, and they're not sure what they're going to do in the next couple of years because they can't rebuild the stadium.
So here's the thing too, folks. I know that my business insurance, it's not terribly expensive, okay, and so worthwhile, right? And it's interesting when it comes to certain things, even though it's very low in cost, some people just don't do it. Right? It is not a good idea. I'm telling you now. Listen to Carol Blonder. If you own a business, I don't care how, we're not talking large size here. We're talking small to medium. You need to have business insurance in case something happens.
Sure, and you definitely want to, and like I said, every business kind of has their own key features on what they need their coverage for. And so if you are a business, specifically contractors, if you're a business, a lot of contractors don't have, there's a separate policy called E&O or professional liability, that's the policy that actually covers their work. I will tell you there's a ton of contractors in the state that don't have that policy. So really all they're covered for is just going onto property. If they screw up on that job, there's no coverage and their claim would be declined, especially swimming pool contractors. If that pool leaks, they don't have coverage. It could be an $80,000 or $100,000 hit that they have to come out of pocket.
So it's very important, and people don't realize this until it's too late, right?
Yep.
And it's almost like they're foolish. They bite off their nose to spite their face.
Sure.
But this is when you hear this show, even if you're the owner of a business, small, medium to medium-sized business, and you're sitting there and I don't have that. This is putting a bug in your ear. That's what this is about. And if you don't, call them. Find out what would it cost. You'd probably be very, very surprised at how affordable it probably is, right?
It just depends.
It just depends, obviously. Does it matter what kind of business? I said all businesses, but it doesn't matter what kind of business?
No, so I mean, when it comes to pricing, yes, it's very specific on insurance. Commercial insurance is more of the class of business you are and the revenue you do, payroll you do. So a lot of that is specific, but yeah.
Okay, so the phone number to call them direct, it's 480-805-8656. The website is ALBATROSSinsurance.com. He works statewide and regionally. He does free consultations, and because this is a free service to you, doesn't it just make sense to have a conversation and find out whether you need it or not? And we've been talking about peace of mind today.
Yeah.
And I truly tell you, and when we come back, I'm going to tell you during the break the story that I think people need to hear, and I'm sure you have a million of them, all right, of people that once they have it, they're like, a little bit of a lift comes off of your shoulder, that you know that you're protected, God forbid. Again, that phone number to call them direct, it's 480-805-8656. The website again is ALBATROSSinsurance.com. He does work statewide and regionally. Again, it's a free service to you, and in this situation, it certainly does make sense to have that conversation. Okay, we're still live in the room here
Yeah.
right now, so we can still talk if
Yeah.
it's, that's what's kinda neat about doing a 30. I'm glad you did do that,
Yeah.
because, gives you, it's a smoother ride, right?
Right, for
They
sure.
go by fast no matter what you do, but regardless. So, I've had my show for 18 years here, and it is a business.
Yeah.
My show is a business, not everybody has that.
Mhm.
Long time ago, we had somebody that came in with their grandson,
Oh, yep.
okay? And there was no way that they were going to win, okay? Because they chose to bring him into a recording studio with cameras and all sorts of things. And they had signed that they wanted the videos and going live on Facebook. But they tried, because the son was on Facebook when the grandson was sitting behind them, right? And so it was ridiculous, but immediately going forward, I was on the phone in 2 seconds, because I didn't have it.
Okay, yep,
I didn't have it, and then I realized, you know what, I gotta have it.
yeah,
And it was worth every penny.
Yeah.
And it is worth every penny, because you never know,
right, oh yeah.
right?
Yeah, even the kid tripping and falling, even though they're the ones who brought him in.
Well,
Yeah.
that would have been on, let's say, KFNX, because it's their, which
Yeah,
I'm
well,
sure
and
they
that's where,
have.
and that's where it gets a little bit goofy, because then they're like, well, he wouldn't have been here without you.
Right,
Yeah,
that's
where
true.
it gets goofy.
Yeah, well, there you go,
Yep.
and that's a great thing to bring up.
Yep,
Because, unfortunately, like I said, in the world that we live today, and they see, now in my instance, they see KFNX,
right,
They
yeah, they
see
go after
dollars.
everybody, oh yeah.
right?
Yep. Yeah, they say, just even your auto accidents, so like if you're in a commercial vehicle, even if it's like pest control or whatever, your auto accidents are about 3 times more on just a normal commercial truck compared to normal people hitting each other, just because they go after the commercial insurance instead.
And that's a lot of that is done now.
Especially in this city.
I know.
Oh yeah,
Oh, my
commercial auto in
goodness.
this city.
Well, I hope that if you can, afterwards we'll talk. I'd love to hear stories and things
Yeah.
like that you can, because it may seem dry to you, but
Yeah.
when you've
Oh,
got
no.
good
Yep.
stories,
Oh,
now
yeah.
it
Yeah, stories are
becomes,
king.
yeah. Now, if you do me one favor,
Okay.
when you come back,
Yep.
okay, you're like gonna lock this table, okay?
Okay.
Just take them away,
Okay.
because this can hear it, the mic can hear it.
Okay, which part?
When you have your hands and
Yep.
you're talking,
Yep.
you're talking very much with your hands.
Okay.
You're kind of doing that, not
Okay.
really loud,
Yeah.
but it can hear it,
Okay, got it.
okay? That's all I'm saying.
Perfect.
In a nice, in a way that I'm,
Yeah,
so they can.
audio people.
Okay?
Got it.
So yeah, I mean, I personally think that, what I love about it is that it does give you this opportunity to
Yeah.
explain and how, I just think that's a great part of my show, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
that I
Nope,
do. Here
absolutely.
we go, ready?
Okay.
So welcome back, everyone. We're talking insurance today. We're talking right now about business insurance and how important it is for every business to have it. And we're talking that he works with people who have small to medium-sized businesses, okay? So I want people to understand that. Now, let's ask this. I want to ask you what's going on, and I'm going to say it my way, with AI and with what's going on in the future, right? How do you see, is AI getting involved with this too?
I mean, yes, especially in where AI is going to where you're going to start seeing AI affect insurance in the next couple years for sure is going to be on the claims management side. So a lot of, if you have an auto claim or anything like that, all of your claims upload documents right now, those pictures are going to be, an AI bot is going to look at them first. So the AI bot is there to help kind of the claims people go through those a lot faster. So you would hope that's going to be a benefit, but it's also a robot, and who knows if they're actually looking at things correctly. And so that it's going to start affecting claims, but it's also looking at your web scrapers are going to start going through your websites, your social media.
That's scary.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I'll submit a quote to a carrier right now, and they'll come back to me and say, well, what about this, 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 and this that they put on their Facebook page 4 years ago? And so definitely on the underwriting side, it's going to affect a couple things. But even on the customer side, we've started to see things where with those pictures on the auto accidents, people are doctoring the pictures with AI to show more damage to their vehicle, trying to get higher insurance payouts. So it's definitely
Well, I
going
hope
to be a mess.
AI can pick that out.
Yeah, and hopefully, but you never know.
The people are too good.
Yeah,
That's what's made things scary,
yeah, for
right?
sure.
No, but I'm sorry, I hope that doesn't happen, I would say.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. But I mean, the other thought process is that our insurance rates are gonna get more specific to the people, and rather than like a class rate, where now if you can get an actual background on the employer, on the client or the business that gives them better rates based on what the AI robots show, then hopefully it ends up being in our favor. But it's gonna be interesting.
I hope that doesn't come around too fast.
Yeah.
Because I'm still old-fashioned.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of other people are, and with certain things, especially when you say that they can do that.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's scary. Now, what are some of the common mistakes that you see business owners make when it comes to their insurance policies?
Yeah, so, and kind of what I said last time, on like lowering rates or taking off policies just to cut costs, I mean, which is a specific instance you want to have, but most business owners need to understand what their business, what the policies are actually covering, but why they have those policies. I mean, I could tell you every day I talk to someone who just says, hey, quote my stuff. They're like, okay, well, show me what you have. Let's go through this, kind of go, why do you have these? Well, I don't know. That's just what my other guy had. Okay. But because if I quote you one way, we're going to affect something. But if we quote this a different way, which is kind of where I would recommend, this is going to dramatically change a couple things. So you as the business owner do need to take some ownership and some responsibility on why you're paying for these policies, because I don't want to put you in a position that is either going to hurt your business, or I want you to understand why I recommended these, which is where my value is on I'm here to protect you. So that's why I'm recommending these policies and not just trying to make more money on a commission.
Well, this thing is what's really important. What I hear over and over again, we heard it earlier today, just give me a quote,
Yeah.
right? And so the thing is that you can't just give a quote.
Yeah.
Right? Because honestly, every business is different,
Yep.
I'm assuming, so everybody's business is gonna need certain things.
Yep.
So it's just like anything else, so you can't ask, and I'm sure this is another thing, you know, a lot of people like to go onto Dr. Google, right?
Yep.
And do things themselves,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
what do you feel about that?
I mean, Google definitely, it has its advantages, but where a lot of people get in trouble, specifically in the insurance realm, when you're Googling, hey, where do I get this insurance policy? All Google is going off of are the sponsors or the paid ads. So you could literally look up swimming pool contractor insurance, and I will almost guarantee that State Farm is going to pop up and get my insurance policy.
Oh, really?
State Farm will not cover a swimming pool contractor. There's a bunch of the captives that aren't going to cover a lot of businesses, but they're going to pop up on every single Google ad. And so it's just, that's where you just kind of have to take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, Google is definitely not the best place to go for commercial insurance.
But how often do you think somebody should have their, policies reviewed?
Yeah, and so even if my clients, or even if you're working with a guy, you definitely, depending on your business and depending on how much movement you have year in and year out, at least 1 to 3 years. But if you're in a business that either in 1 year you have tremendous growth from 1 year to the other, you want to have that looked at. Or if you're a little bit more established, depending on like building values and things like that, you definitely want to have those looked at a little bit more, especially back to COVID where property values went through the roof. You needed to be looking at those every single year, because you might have a building that's going off of a 4-year-old evaluation where now it might be worth double what it was 4 years ago, and you want to catch that sooner rather than later.
His phone number is 480-805-8656. The website is albatrossinsurance.com. This is a free service to you. He works statewide and regionally. So with inflation and rising costs how's it impacted you guys? What should business owners be aware of?
I mean, definitely the biggest thing when it comes to inflation is your building value. So if you're a business owner that owns a building, either rental properties or even like your big warehouses and things, you want to make sure you want to double check and see what those buildings are worth or what they're valued at on your policy. You definitely wouldn't want to have a claim happen to one of those buildings, need rebuild, and then realize you don't have enough coverage to actually cover that, which does happen a lot, especially in restaurants. That always seems, for some strange reason, it always seems to be restaurants, because that's where you get your kitchen fire, and then you find out that there isn't enough coverage on that building. And then when it comes to if you're a manufacturer who's bringing in a bunch of goods from overseas, then all of a sudden your cost of goods is going to skyrocket, and you really want to kind of make sure that that's covered on your policy, because there are policies that rate off of revenue. So if all of a sudden your cost of goods coming into the country goes up by 40%, your revenue is going to go up 80%. You need to factor that into what we're going to do with your insurance, because that's where your costs are going to fluctuate.
So that's gonna be happening quite a bit, possibly.
It definitely could be. I mean, it's still a little too early to tell. It'll be more of a next year situation on what we want to look at. But yeah, it's definitely something to factor in if you're a manufacturer who's bringing in overseas goods.
Well, I'll tell you something, we're talking here about Google, that there are a lot of online tools and direct-to-consumer options these days. Why should a business still work with an independent agent like yourself?
Yep, absolutely. So kind of what I said on Google, you're gonna search something, you're gonna find, it's gonna throw you out 3 carriers that you have no idea who are. Well, you probably heard their names, but you have no idea if they actually are good at what they do as far as your business. So that's where a broker or an insurance agent, at least a human, might be able to kind of walk you through a lot of that stuff. Robots are good for being able to answer simple questions, but they can't talk nuance very well. To be able to work with an agent who specializes in commercial and really knows the ins and outs on policies, they can kind of walk you through, hey, if I do this with my business next year, what do I need to be looking out for? If I hire 4 employees, we predict I'm going to hire 4 employees, and then I hire 25 employees, what does that look like? What other insurance policies do I need? What types of claim situations have you seen when you start seeing employee growth like that? And kind of walk you through that stuff. That's where an insurance agent is going to be invaluable. And then you also have to factor in, if you're working with a good agent, they're representing you to the carrier, compared to like a State Farm agent represents State Farm to you. You want that agent to be on your side with the carrier. A robot, more often than not, is going to represent the carrier. They're not representing you. So if a claim ever happens or anything like that, you want to be able to talk to someone who's on your team, on your side. That's where an agent is definitely going to be far superior in where we're at today.
You know, and a lot of people, there are 800 numbers, you
Yeah.
know, on television. I've seen them, that they're for business insurance and too,
Yeah.
not just health insurance. I've seen it, and I've said this before with other things. Really don't call the TV, people that they're there. It's a very, you're not going to speak to the same person all the time.
Sure.
So that's really important, that you have a relationship, especially when it becomes your business, it's part of your business, right? You want to have somebody that's going to help you make sure that you're making the right decisions, and God forbid something happens, you're there to help as well, I'm sure.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, in claim situations, and that's the hard part about being an insurance agent, especially in today's world where there are a lot more claims that are getting denied. So it does become a stressful situation on both sides. I mean, I don't like it when any of my claims get denied, it's just you want to be there with the client in the good and the bad.
And the main thing is that you get yourself covered.
Yeah.
People that you don't realize how important it is until something happens and you don't have it.
Right.
And that's really bad when that happens. Or I should say unfortunate when that happens.
Yeah.
So like I said, what I love about this show the most is the information that the people get from hearing it. And maybe it's you, or maybe it's someone that you know, they're just starting a business, or somebody that may not have it or has got something going on. Tell them about it. That's what networking is all about. And it's so important. And if you have a small to medium-sized based business, if I needed it, and I'll talk about that at another time, but if I ended up needing it, I know that more people out there need it that don't have it.
Absolutely.
Right? Absolutely. And again, it's a free service to you to find out. I think that's the main thing, is to call and find out and get a quote. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And get that quote. Again, the number to call direct, it's 480-805-8656. He does work statewide and regionally. It just makes sense. He does this. It's a free service to you, the families out there, the people that own in these businesses. It's a free service to you, so it really does make sense to just have that consultation with him. You can check him out on his website. It's albatrossinsurance.com, or call him direct at 480-805-8656. Don't put your head in the sands with this, because it's so important. If you're just starting a business, it's a great time to call immediately, 480-805-8656.